Yeah, just getting ready to for a big road test, and obviously they're really talented team. You start off talking about their team, talking about the inside play of Bassey, number 23 at the 5 spot, and then their power forward 22 Williams, and obviously number 11 Hollingsworth at the points, a confident scoring guy, and number 5 at the off guard's a really good scorer that you can't give airspace to as a transfer, and then Savage at the small forward, number 2, and Anderson's played really well, number 4 off the bench for him. So it's kind of what we're looking at from a roster standpoint of Western Kentucky.
Yeah, I've seen you watch film of Arkansas and Western last year, and Bassey had like 21 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks, and that was against Daniel Gafford, another elite big man. You guys don't really have anybody like Daniel. What's the, I guess, without giving away any secrets, what's the game plan for trying to handle Bassey, and how big a challenge? It seems like by far the best big guy you guys have faced so far.
Yeah, obviously, the big kid at Georgia Tech's having a really good year so far, and but Bassey, creates a lot of problems inside because of his size, and he runs the floor really well, and Coach Stansbury does a great job of getting the ball to him. We've got a couple days we're able to work on some things like post traps that we really haven't done much of this year. They're probably going to try to throw the ball into both Bassey, 23, and 22 Williams, both those guys, and so we've got to be prepared for that. They run a 1-3-1 after timeouts, so we got to continually alert our guys to their 1-3-1 after timeouts, and we did get some good looks at a 1-3-1 because Georgia Tech played it at times, so we've added 3 different offensive sets against the 1-3-1 that'll hopefully give us, our guys understand where the windows are in that thing, and they're a great shot blocking team too. So I think they're 40th in the country in shots blocked, with 3 guys primaries or shot blockers, like you mentioned. Bassey having 5 last year, so there's some things offensively that you've got to do against shot blockers that I thought we did a really good job. Georgia Tech. Such a good shot blocking team as well. So, but yeah, he's a great player, and obviously had a big game against a team that's a little bit bigger than we are right now in last year's Arkansas team, and we've got to try to focus on him and also know that they got some surrounding pieces that are a problem as well.
After the Georgia Tech, or before Georgia Tech, the players talked a lot about last year's game. Has there been similar since Western Kentucky beat them here last year?
Yeah, I think that they understand that these are 2 games that that we lost in our own building, and we know that they're going to have a great crowd there. But it's every year's new, and every game's got its own different theme and different identity, and I don't think you can take too much from that game film. We're playing a little bit different style, and our guys know the games we've won and the games we lost last year, but I think it just takes on a whole different identity once the ball gets tipped up.
Getting back on the road again, how do you think the guys handled their first trip at Georgia Tech, and how do you think that'll benefit them this weekend?
Yeah, I thought we played, we had some really good moments against Tech, and I thought that, there were some moments where we sputtered a little bit on offense or gave up a couple back-to-back baskets defensively, but it's never easy playing an ACC team on the road, and certainly it's not going to be easy going to Western Kentucky. Every road game is going to be hard and be challenging, and again, they came in and got us last year, and they've added a grad transfer who starts for them at that off guard spot, and it's an area that they wanted to improve on, which was their perimeter shooting, and obviously, they've added some shooting that makes it even more complicated with their post-up guys.
Yeah, I guess Yeah, Banks. Yeah, you're right. He obviously had a good game this year. I think he had 20. How would you compare Banks and Bassie as big men? And Bassie, I guess went to the combine last year. Didn't like. I think he was maybe a late second round projection. Just obviously as an NBA guy yourself, how do you think he translates to the NBA? What kind of NBA prospect is he? I guess is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, I mean, I think both those guys are NBA prospects because they both have great size and they can run the floor and they have good hands and I think it's easier to evaluate a guy when you've seen him live, on film. I mean, both players look really good on film, and so I can't really give too much of a projection if I haven't seen Bassie live from what my opinion would be, but he's a great player. He's got a huge upside. He's still a young player. He's going to continue to grow and get better. But at the college level, it's a big time challenge. And the other guy, like Williams, they're going to try to post him up too. So both those guys inside are, Williams is physical at the forward spot as well.
I guess Adrio and Reggie and maybe even Ethan. How could Ethan maybe help you against these big guys the way he played? And just how do you feel about your interior? Defense, how those guys have played so far.
Yeah, obviously the experience that Adrio has because he's, he's a 4-year college player. He understands our schemes and I think Reggie too. Even though Reggie missed those first 3 games, I think he's playing catch up on exactly how we want to play post defense and so forth. But both those guys are really good. And then you got a decision after those two, which we had the same decision at Georgia Tech. Do we want to really play small and make them kind of chase us a little bit, or do we want to try to, because we put Banks in some situations where they had to make a decision whether they wanted to keep him out there or not. And sometimes there's a trade-off of scoring around the rim or a team trying to defend threes, and it's been no secret that we've played 4 guards a lot of times, and so we'll just have to see how the flow of the game is and so forth, and see who's playing well, and I'm sure they're going to do the same thing from their end.
Coach, how's Mason Jones feeling? Is he closer to 100%? I know he said he was like 70% after the game the other day. And then you guys are 8 games in. The rest of the season gets a lot tougher. What do you feel like has been better than you've hoped for that'll help you guys through the rest of the season? And then what are you still kind of worried about?
Yeah, I think, Nikki, the same stuff that, like I'm a broken record. It's like we got to rebound better. We got to take care of the ball better. I think one of the areas that we've been really pleased with is obviously how we've defended. Surprisingly, I've been really happy with how we've defended the post. I think a lot of teams will look at our roster and they try to throw it in there, and we end up getting deflections and steals and we go the other way. And so that's actually been one of our positives this year is getting deflections and getting our hands on balls, and obviously defending the 3-point, because we know that people try to go inside, and then if you really work on your inside defense, then you usually give up 3 balls. And for the most part, we've done a pretty good job of defending the 3, and I think that from a post defensive standpoint, we've done an incredible job of kind of scrapping around in there and trying to get our hands on balls. What was the other question? Mason. Oh, I don't know what Mason told you. He was 100% last game on offense, and he told me, even though he could shoot, he told me that it hurt his arm to play defense, put his hand in the eyeballs. So hopefully he's at 100% defensively.
As far as Sills hitting those last couple of threes, you feel that's a good chance he can carry that over with some confidence? Yeah,
again, I think every game's just different. If you go play at the park and you make a layup or you hit a 3, then your game kind of opens, your confidence opens. It's the same thing in a college game. It's the same thing in an NBA game. A guy, misses 2 or 3. Does he keep shooting? Obviously, Desi's proven that he's going to keep shooting. And, you know, I mean, sometimes with our team, it's like you just keep shooting until you get hot, and you know, we got to mix in dribble drives and things like that, like I think we've done. But we want Desi to keep shooting, and I do think that the last game probably really helped his confidence for sure.
Also, the post defense, I mean, is that more what Bailey and Cheney have done, or more just your guards and everybody helping out and getting the deflections and stuff inside?
Yeah, I think it's a, you know, it's all encompassing. You know, it's a guy that's guarding the post player. It's the guy that's guarding the passer. It's the players on the weak side. So I really think it's, you know, at least the way that we play defense right now, it's like it's not on one guy's shoulder. Like it's not Adrio or Reggie's defensive responsibility to guard Bassey, and it's if Jimmy Witt guards post player, it's not Jimmy's job to, you know, to contain. It's everybody's job. It's like you gotta have activity on the ball. You gotta have good weak side help, and then, like I said, if you know, if we choose to trap the post, that'll be something that's a little bit newer and unique for us.
Yeah, Mike's got these handy deflection stats here, and Adriel's leading the team with 40. Reggie's got 19, even though, like you said, he missed 3 games. I mean, just what do you think about the big? Even Ethan's got 7. What do you think about the big guys' deflections? And could Ethan? Is there a role for Ethan in this game, maybe?
Yeah, I think again, Bob, it's just like we got to kind of figure out like how the flow of the game's going, and certainly Ethan played phenomenal last game, and he's got probably more confidence. We have more confidence as a staff with what he did. You know, having said that, I mean, it's two teams that have a pretty short rotation, both Western and us. We just got to see how the flow of the game is. Like, do we need perimeter scoring? Do we need perimeter threats, or do we need you know, another taller guy inside? Was there more to that question?
Yeah, the deflections. Adriel's got 40 and leads the team, and Cheney's got 19, even though he missed 3 games. What do you think that says about their defense, what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, we talk all the time about getting your hand on a ball, whether you're guarding a passer, whether you're guarding a post player. I mean, we can't just play traditional defense inside. I mean, we've got to be active. We've got to take different angles, meaning if a guy's posting up on the block, do you come from the bottom side to try to get around, or do you come from the top side? And we change that up based on who the personnel is, whether we want to, you know, sneak around top side or sneak around bottom side. We change it up maybe at halftime depending on who that player is. If they've, you know, sometimes they'll slide the post player up the lane a little bit more if you're coming from a certain angle, and you know, certain players are better at fronting than other players. Some guys we play behind, and then we kind of dig down and sit in the lap of the guys. So, but for our whole team, we have to get deflections. Like, we've got to get our hands on balls for us to have a chance.
You know, this 8-0 start's the best one, I guess, in 20 years, and you're the first. I don't even know if you know who Eugene Lambert is, but I guess he was the last first-year coach to win this many to start his career at Arkansas. And I think he plays pretty solid teams, but I guess according to Ken Palm, your strength schedule is like somewhere in the 270s. How well do you think you guys have played? What do you make of the start and being, you know, coach? Nobody's done this since like World War II as far as a first-year coach.
I mean, I just like the same thing we talk to our players about is like, how do we take one game at a time? That's who we are this year. We're not a team that can look forward to anything. We're not a team that can look backwards on anything. I mean, we got one thing to worry about. It's Western Kentucky. We do have some really tough games coming up on the schedule. Certainly, this is the beginning of it, a road game against a really talented team. But you just got to go one at a time. And Georgia Tech was a good win. I mean, they played well against Nebraska last night, and you know, with the conference that they're in, their strength of schedule that's going to help us. You know, because we looked at, even last night, we looked at Power 5 schools, where they are strength of schedule wise, even teams that don't win their league or finish in the middle of the like the Georgia Tech game is going to be a pretty good game for us because of being a true road game, and it's the same thing with Western. I mean, everybody understands that that's a hard place to play. So where we are, I don't really know because it's only 8 games. I think we've had some really good moments, and then we've had some really teachable moments where maybe, I haven't been in the greatest mood or feel like we've got some holes that we got to continue to address. And one of those is just shooting, which is kind of out of our opponent's control to some degree, and it's kind of up to us to make shots.
So they ain't no star. That's not a big deal to you. Like say, being the first year Arkansas coach to do that since the 40s. I mean, that's.
I mean, I'd rather be 8-0 than 0-8. I know that, but no. I mean, I think it's great for our players because I think it helps with buy-in to stuff that we're doing. I think that's the most important thing is that our guys that put in a lot of work over the summer, that they feel like that we're building and getting better each game, and those things are really important. I think more than anything. I mean, we all hate to lose. Every coach hates to lose, and the players, they don't want to lose. But I mean, as far as the start, I mean, I think like I said, I'd rather come into a new situation and win off the bat than not.
Did you ever have a conversation with Jalen Harris about embracing his role coming off the bench, and how do you think he's done this season?
Yeah, I mean, we told him that we felt he was a starter talent-wise, and we can't start 6 guys, and so you make your decision with 5 guys and to try to embrace the role. And I mean, he's playing starter minutes. And certainly his shooting has improved dramatically, like we talked about before we even played a regular season game, that he put a tremendous amount of work in. And he changes the pace for us. When he comes in, we play a little bit faster. And just the way that the game's evolving throughout basketball, whether you're talking about FIBA or teams in Europe, or whether you're talking about teams in the NBA or college, a lot of teams play 2 point guards, and you're even seeing some people play 3 point guards at a time. It always helps to have an extra ball handler on the floor if teams try to pressure you a little bit.
Yeah, and in terms of his shooting, it looked like he even kind of created an open shot for himself the other day, which is something we didn't see much of last year. Where do you think his confidence level is at right now, especially coming off the bench? You think that's helped a little bit maybe?
Who's that?
Jalen.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I don't know if coming off the bench has helped him. Because I think he'd like to. I think every player, not just him. Just if you went and secret polled all of our players, they'd all like to start. But yeah, I just think his work that he's put in, like when you see the ball go through the net, through repetition, it builds a great deal of confidence. And so I think he's way more confident than maybe he has been. And then when you make one, and now he's made more than one. And so I do think he's shooting the ball with a lot more confidence. He's shooting the ball. Last year I think a lot of his 3 point shots, a lot of them came towards the end of the shot clock and stuff. And I think now he's got the confidence to shoot that thing, even early in the shot clock, which we want him to have that confidence.
I guess just reviewing the last game's film, kind of the turnovers, anything you saw, a pattern or anything with them or stuff that's correct?
Yeah, so not only do we chart the turnovers, we chart when they happen, we chart, are they, like our big thing is, are those turnovers happening because of the defense? Are they happening because of the style the defense is played? Are they happening in transition? Are they happening in the half-court set? Most of our turnovers are self-inflicted, meaning a palming call, a moving screen, a travel, stepping out of bounds when you shoot a corner 3. That's a bulk of our turnovers, believe it or not. I mean, we did have a home run pass that we tried to make, a bounce pass in transition, because I'm wondering, are we trying to, is it happening in the half court where we're trying to run a set and we're trying to execute, or is it happening because we have freedom in transition? It's really neither of the two. It's kind of that in-between no man's land, meaning, shoot, we're not jump stopping on a screen, or, somebody traveling, not putting the ball on the deck before they make a jab step move. So But our players are all getting it on film. We're talking to them about it, and we're continuing to try to evaluate how we can come up with some formula. Because for a stretch there, we were great at not turning the ball over. And really, before the last game we turned it over like that was Rice. And the Rice game was when we played really fast, and then we went back and looked at the turnovers. They really didn't happen in transition, surprisingly.
Yeah, obviously, you wouldn't have brought Jimmy Witt in if you didn't think he was going to help you. But has he played even better than you thought? What has he really brought to the table for you guys? What have you liked about what he's done for you?
Yeah, I think Jimmy just brings a lot. Number one, he's even keel, like on a daily basis. He doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low, which is good for me to have a point guard like that. That's not like me. So he's mature. He's a great defender that we put anywhere on the point guard or the four-man. Every night he gets assigned the top defender that he could possibly guard based on his size. And then he's a great rebounder, which is we knew, when the recruiting process went on with grad transfers, the number one area, because of the rebounding numbers last year and because of Daniel leaving, the number one priority was how do we just become better rebounding at any position. And so I certainly think he's filled that void. And then probably, Bob, like to answer the question, like maybe what surprised us with Jimmy is he's kind of become a go-to player, but a go-to player that we never call his play. He kind of gets a shot on his own without it being where we have to manufacture it with the play call. Thanks.